Alright, so my name's Kieran King, and I'm trying to break my first record of 10 career trophies and make it to the Premier League. Currently, I'm managing Birmingham's U21 team in the Premier League too, and we left off a crucial win over Manchester City with Hannibal Mejbri leading the charge. Now, Hannibal had a decision to make: stay for a match against Liverpool or return to the senior team. Well, thankfully for us, he would love to play against Liverpool, but he had one demand. He wanted to play at the striker, and well, we will get to training as soon as possible. And in training, we were passing the ball around nicely, and he was linking up exceptionally well. And he'd been hitting an insane free kick. But on the other side of things, Jordan Carrillo was receiving a lot of hate for missing quite a couple shots. And the media was all over him, criticizing him for a bunch of things. Well, it was always going to be hard to adapt from playing in Spain to England, and well, the board would send us an ultimatum for Jordan Carrillo. He had to rack up 5 assists in the next 2 months or he was out the team by the next transfer window. And as his manager, we have to make sure we did the best for him. And well, the board actually had a replacement already lined up for Carrillo if he were to mess up. And Sanderson Harris, a U18 Greek player that came over from Olympiacos and was currently playing the U17 Premier League. So far in Birmingham's U17, he already scored 3 goals and 1 assist. So there was definitely pressure in all of these players to perform. And in our 4th game against Liverpool, we would start Hannibal where he wanted to start as striker. And well, Liverpool were being quite physical and they were dominating the midfield, leading to Liverpool's first goal, and it was 1-0. Gladso had scored, Liverpool's striker had showed up, but ours still hasn't delivered just yet. And while Hannibal did get golden chances tied up late into the first half, but well, he just missed it. And by this point, no one in the attack was showing up near Carrillo or Jander or of course Hannibal Mejbri. So we decided to make a change. We were going to Mejbri back to his original position and Darwin back up as striker. And well, this would change everything. As late on in the second half, in the 70th minute, Hannibal would run inside the box and play a beautiful cross to Simmons, who would just tap it home. And even though he had just equalized, Liverpool was not quite done yet either, as they regained the lead in the 80th minute just 10 minutes after we equalized. But while Hannibal wasn't done, as he would run past a couple of defenders and just play a beautiful ball through, and well, we would equalize once again in the 82nd minute. And guess what? Carrillo gave us assist too, as in the 90th minute we had won the game 3-2 with a goal from Dobbin. The scenes were unbelievable, but despite the positive result, it highlighted one bad thing about the team, and that was that we just couldn't connect to play without the right players. And just like that, Hannibal Mejbri lead Birmingham's U21 team and lead to the senior team. But well, without him, the next couple games were quite stale, as we would tie to Leicester City 0-0 and lose to Chelsea 4-1. And the board was growing very impatient with us, as our attacking players weren't showing up, such as Castillo, Carrillo, Simmons, and of course Darwin. And well, the board would order for us to promote the U18 Greek star that everyone was talking about. But well, this seemed like a very short-term solution rather than a long-term one, so we were a bit unsure at first, but we let it happen. And now came his debut against Manchester United, and while he would tear it up for us, as we would win 4-1 with him on the pitch, he truly was a wonder kid. And I'm sure the United fans already hated this kid. And we would actually score our first ever corner kick from one of his crosses. And then of course he would get his own goal, as it would be 3-0 in a rainy night in Birmingham. And then he would score again in the next game against Brighton, and he would do a crazy backflip for a celebration. But that wouldn't be the craziest goal in the game, as Sandro would fake the keeper and then just chip it right over him in an open net. Then came to against West Ham, where he drove past a bunch of players and just scored an absolute banger. But right before the month ended, we had Chelsea, the team we battered as 4-1. Now we had a chance to take revenge with our newfound wonder kid. But wait. By this point, the board were about to review our team's performance, and there was a couple players who were standing out, such as Carrillo, Casper Jander, and Jude Bellingham, but none of them were standing out for the wrong reasons. As prior to the game against Chelsea, there was a fight in training, or rather than a fight, some controversy in training, as Jordan Carrillo and Casper Jander really did not like Sandra's Harris getting all the spotlight. So now, we had a choice to make. Were we going to start Sanderson Harris against Chelsea and risk the squad, or bench him and risk the game? Now, prior to the game, we had a press conference, and some of the questions were really provoking us, as we knew that we weren't the best manager, but it was getting pointed out a lot that our man management was horrendous, and that if we really wanted to be the next Sir Alex Ferguson, we had to be good at that. And now the question was, where do we start him?
Harris with the game's opener! Birmingham are dominating, and Harris is turning the tables compared to the previous time out against Chelsea.
And well, as you just heard, yes, we did start him. And well, we will tie the game 3-3, a big change from our last game against Chelsea. Now that this game was over, the board review is coming. But we were asked to delay the board review to one more match, and that was the game against Leicester City, as Jordan Carrillo just needed one more assist to make it through the board review. But you could just tell that he wasn't in the right mindset. And well, that wouldn't help him much, but at least, we needed him to do something in the game to impress the board, and well, it might be the last chance he has for the Premier League. And well, let's just say that we also are trying to make the Premier League, and prior to this game against Leicester City, we get the news that we might be able to get an assistant manager run senior team football. And well, that would just help us a lot, as we would learn a lot from some of the other coaches in the league. and even our own coaching staff in Birmingham's senior team. And now came for the game against Leicester City. And well, in this game there will be only one player who would actually show up, and it would be none other than Harris, which was great for the squad but not great for Carrillo. And of course that was also great for us, as we might just get a chance at senior team football with an assistant manager role, which is all we ever wanted. Well, not really, we wanted to be an actual manager in the Premier League, but well, it's close enough. Now let's just say that we started negotiations with the board, but it wasn't quite for the managerial role. But rather to appeal the decision of selling Jordan Carrillo, who was so close, he had 4 assists and 1 goal. And that 1 goal might just change his career, as the board would take one final look at his place and they would decide to keep him on one condition, that involved Sandro's Harris, and he will have to start over Carrillo, and Carrillo must be benched for another player. And well, we didn't quite know how to feel about that, because Jordan Carrillo wasn't exactly a bad player, he's just a very unlucky player. But before we could leave the boardroom, we got one more offer, to become an assistant manager of Birmingham's senior team in the Premier League. And well, would we take it? That would mean that we have to leave all these young players in the hands of a new manager, but we would finally get a chance to get those Premier League days we always wished for, as an assistant manager of course. And our final decision would be to wait for episode 3.